Hey, what's going on, guys? We got a special guest here today. We have Drew Berman. He's a keynote speaker, author, and peak performance business strategist. He's grown teams in sales and marketing to 15,000 people. Drew, we're excited to have you on the #Clockedin podcast. How does someone grow a team to 15,000? How does that even, that's a preposterous number.
How do we bite? How do we eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's a great question. And Jordan, I got to tell you, I've had a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews over the years. The way you show up professionally, online and offline. I've had the pleasure of meeting you actually in person when we were engaged at a very peak performance business environment. Um, your energy, your consistency, your flow, your professionalism um, is extraordinary. And I'm just happy to be here with you today. Thank you for having me. Thank you for hosting me. And the question you asked was, how does one build a team of 15,000? Well, after a lot of failures, I had lots and lots and lots and lots of failures. And you can even ask my wife, she will validate that. And some of the failures even cost me my marriage. So,
Wow.
quick story, but 2001, I was at a BNI. I was selling real estate at the time. And someone said to me, "You seem like a sharp guy. Are you the type of guy that keeps options open for additional streams of income?" And I said, yes. And I listened to a CD and it made sense. And I got involved in the home base business arena.
Yeah.
And I ended up failing miserably for the first 5 years. I made no money. And we had to do, it was in the network marketing profession, actually. And we had to do a network marketing intervention. My wife, my dad, my best friend, my financial planner, and they're like, "Drew, you went to college. You studied marketing and communications. You made no money. What are you doing?" So I got
Yeah.
a job and it was like soul sucking. I would have rather pull my eyeballs out with a fork. But the time my second company landed on my desk, Jordan, I
Yeah.
I found this super niche. I merged
Yes.
three professions and I don't think anyone was doing it. I had studied marketing in college and
Yeah.
I'm a natural born networker. So I found the profession of network marketing.
Yeah.
Then I invested a lot of money into the world of peak performance. Tony Robbins, Landmark, Maverick Millionaire, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Unblinded. And I ended up being engulfed in the peak performance world. I got hired by T. Harv Eker and Peak Potentials as they were the fastest growing personal development company in the world. And at the same time, I fell into the speaker, author, coach world. So I merged three giant professions and boom, we nailed it and scaled it. I recruited 1,000 people over a 6 or 7 year period. That grew to a 15,000 global person. And then I got a call from the owner of the company, a $1 billion company. She put me on her field advisory board. And I helped
Wow.
the company go from 200 million to a billion. And I helped them open up in 15 different countries. And I started telling the story like I just told you. I changed the story from trying to recruit someone into a 30-day health and wellness system to I partnered with a billionaire who's on an international expansion. And I just changed that one concept, selling a product to partnering with the owner of the company. No one taught me that. No one
Yeah.
gave me permission to do that. It just it just made sense for me to do that. And then when I did it, everything took off. People from all over the country were hiring me from the company I was in to help them. And then
Yes.
from other companies started hiring me to do peak performance training and coaching on how to do sales, marketing, and recruiting. And that was it. That was the beginning of an amazing career.
That's incredible. And you start to realize that a lot of people might be going through these failures at that time. So what can you tell them, or what can they think about to be able to overcome those failures? Because obviously you went from this place where you're like, what am I doing? This doesn't make sense, to this massive success. And most people go, okay, I hear the success. I understand it. It's incredible. How did he overcome these failures? So for you, how did you get past that?
Yeah. So there's something called the hero's journey, and it's a very famous concept, and it's the Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
like it's Luke Skywalker. It's the story of Luke Skywalker. It's the story of Rocky. And very few people are born hyper super successful. And if
Yeah.
you read the depth of the super successful, the Oprahs, the Lincolns, the Einsteins, Michael Jordan, Thomas Jefferson, he says, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Yeah.
So failure is part of success. Failure isn't sexy for those coaches and trainers out there. Being in the woe is me, that's not going to be attractive. And
Yeah.
being super successful may or may not be attractive. What is attractive is the journey in between.
Yes.
The t-shirts, the bumper stickers. If you're going through hell, don't stop.
Yes.
If it's all going to work out, if it hasn't worked out yet, that means you're not at the end yet.
Yes.
Every failure is an opportunity to learn and
Yes.
embrace it and then talk about it. I was in pain. My wife almost left. I was front row at a meeting, listening to millionaires, taking notes, knowing I was broke, knowing I was devastated, knowing I was completely crushed. And my wife called, and I had a dilemma. Answer the call or stay listening to the millionaires. Answer the call or stay listening to the millionaires. What's going to help me progress more in life? I'm like, all right, I got a new baby at home. I better answer the call.
Yeah.
She doesn't say hello. She puts the screaming, crying baby on the phone. You're there at another one of those meetings. I'm here with, and I'm like, my brain almost exploded. I'm like
Yeah.
crying on the inside, trying to learn from millionaires that there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
Wife not being supportive, being cantankerous.
Yeah.
Truth is, Jordan, man to man, it's really the man in the mirror. Because
Yes.
things aren't going well in the marriage, it's probably our fault. Because all
Yes.
we want is safety and security and love and affection and knowing that it's all going to be all right. And sometimes as men, listen, I'm forgetting we're on an interview right now. I'm just talking to you, man to man. Sometimes we go out into the world and it's tough. And there's arrows flying at us, and we gotta take over the world. And all our wives want to know is like that my man's got it. Well, Jordan, sometimes I don't got it all under control.
Yeah.
So God, prayer, meditation, time management, focus, grit, work ethic, mentors, not being distracted. I mean, it's all what I do with my partners, my clients, my teammates. It's all what's in my 3 books that I wrote.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do appreciate, Drew, your vulnerability here because a lot of people want to be on this stoic mission where it's everything for me was a success. I haven't faced any challenges, but the truth is we all face challenges. We all have things that are hard for us. So how do you overcome? I know a big one is fear of rejection and fear of failure. How do you overcome that?
Well, it's so funny because you and I met at an event and we got up early and we played racquetball.
Yes.
And we weren't racquetball champions, but if you hit a ball and you get whacked in the face, you either quit or you like practice or you like hire a coach or you like start over or like so everything that happens in life is the same thing in business.
Yes.
When my son studied taekwondo, when I studied Spanish, if you want to learn yoga or tai chi or how to cook or how to speak Italian, you either need to go to Italy, you need to hire an Italian coach, you need to get one of those Italian apps, you need to practice, you need to look in the mirror and practice saying the words, and you're going to fumble and you're going to sound silly. And one of the millionaire mentors was doing a presentation, and she said, and she was Russian. So English was her second language, and she was teaching a training, a giant organization, and her husband, American, perfect English, was next to her. And she says, I'm talking to you. I'm blinking at you, blink, blink. And he looked at her. He's like, on stage. He's like, what'd you say? She's like, I'm talking to him in the audience. I'm blinking at you. Blink, blink. He's like, do you mean wink, wink? She's like, what did I say? He says, you said blink, blink. She's like, what's blink? He's like, blinks when you do this. You close both eyes at the same time. She's like, oh, what was I trying to say? He's like, you were trying to say wink. Like,
Yeah.
I'm working with you, wink. And she's like, oh, she couldn't make that happen in Russian to English. But that happens in business all the time.
Yes.
Fear of rejection. All right, here's the fear of rejection. Let's pretend for a moment that you are a devout, complete vegan.
Yeah.
You are as vegan as they come.
Yeah.
I am the world's greatest steak salesman. So
Yeah.
let's role play. Hey, Jordan, I've got the best steak in the world. You're going to love it. Want to buy some steak?
I'm vegan.
He said no to me. There's a story of a famous sales trainer who drops his son off, who's selling chocolate chip cookies to raise money for like the Boy Scouts, and the kid's 8 years old.
Yeah.
The kid runs up the stairs to this neighbor and he rings the doorbell, and the dad, who's a famous sales trainer, is on the bottom looking up, and he sees only one thing. He sees the man go like this. And the kid, and he closed the door, and the kid runs down the steps, jumps in the car, and he said, the dad says, what happened? He said he didn't want to buy any chocolate chip cookies. And the dad says, how did that make you feel? And the kid said, it made me feel like he didn't want to buy any chocolate chip cookies. So, like, rejection happens. I mean, let's just take what's going on in the United States right now.
Yeah.
Whoever would have won in the White House, half the country would have thought that person was a lunatic. And half
Yeah.
the country would have thought that person is the savior.
Yeah.
It's a little wacky in the White House right now. It's a little bit more loud and brash than it's ever been. But the truth is, at the timing of this recording, they just did the presidential thing in front of the Congress.
Yeah.
I remember like 10 and 20 years ago in the Obama and Clinton and Bush years when the president said something and then half the room stood up and clapped and half the room didn't. And I'm like, this is like a TV show.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I think it's really important to realize that everything here about rejection is that no matter what happens, the people you might be speaking to might not be open to that activity, which is fine. Because the thing is, you're gonna find those people who are open to what you're offering, and you will find those right people. So it's that idea of how do we get closer to the no's? Because the more no's we get, the more yeses we'll get, which will help us unlock this area of like, it's not an attachment to me. Like that son said with the sales trainer, the guy didn't want cookies. He might be on a diet. Like, that's okay. And you start to realize very, very quickly that it's your offer. You offer cookies. The guy didn't like that. Okay. You want vegetables? I have broccoli. Guy's like, I love it. And you start to realize that everyone's got different needs and different things they want. And if you could speak into what they're wanting, then you can get more out of that. And you can't really attach the rejection to you. It's the rejection to the product that you presented to them, where they're like, no, 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 I don't like that. And once you disassociate that, I think that helps drastically.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
I
what
mean,
I found with a lot of activities and
there's
different things.
there's definitely some philosophies that I talk about in my first book about how to deal with rejection and how to deal with massive numbers. And listen, sales and marketing, it's a never ending game. I studied marketing in college. I don't know if that makes me an expert or not, but I've been studying marketing since 1994, right? And sales is one thing, marketing is another. But like, if you're going to go become a doctor, like maybe it's not a life filled with rejection, but
Yes,
it is filled with 8 years of school. Of
which
course,
can be rejection there. Yeah,
could
getting
be a
into
lot of rejection there. I have a lawyer guy. He said that the lawyers have to generate business, but the lawyers aren't taught how to generate business in law school.
yeah,
So the triangle of business is most service providers, accountants, chiropractors,
yes,
dentists, lawyers. They have to provide a service.
yeah,
but they think that's where the wealth and the money is. It's not usually. They usually have to find people to provide that service for. Not
Yes.
where the money is, because once you find the people, then you have to sell those people. Now, yes, obviously you could be a doctor that works in a hospital. You can be a lawyer that works in a giant law firm. But in the law world, you're incentivized to generate business. If you
Yes.
don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing up a really good point about sales and operations. A lot of people are in ops and they think they're doing the work, but the sales is what drives a lot of this because without the sales, there wouldn't be any operational ability. We wouldn't be able to do any of that. So for you, when you start thinking about this, what one do you think is more important, the sales or the operations?
Well, it's like, what's more important, your right arm or your left ear? It's like, you know, operations, there's people that do that and love that for a living. I don't think they'll make as much money as salespeople. But the
Yes.
challenge is a lot of salespeople start with no skills and they'll never make as much money as someone in operations. But someone
Yes.
in sales can bypass someone in operations tremendously over time. So sales is the number one paid and hardest profession in the world.
Yes.
It's the most amount of rejection, but it could provide the most income and the most financial freedom, which is what I've been focused and addicted on for 30 years.
Yes. And I really enjoyed that comparison of realizing, and this is for a lot of people like coming out of school, you're sitting there looking, how much are you making? How much are you making? And a lot of people in sales are like low base, might get commissions, not really sure. It can become a very challenging dynamic. And you start to realize a lot of these things. So for you, I know financial literacy is the backbone of really what we're all looking for. So how do you think about financial literacy and how do you think about building this financial freedom? Because I do a lot of coaching calls and everyone says in their 5-year vision, I want to be financially free. What does that even look like? How does someone go about that? And I think it's a lot to do with habits.
Yeah. Habits, we could do a whole 2 hours on habits, and we could do a whole 3 days on financial freedom and legacy. I mean, if you want to lose weight, it's 5 words, right? It's eat less and exercise more. Now,
Yes.
obviously, you can really focus in on and zen on diet and nutrition and supplements and tracking, but it's really about eat less and exercise more. Calories
Yeah.
in, calories out. Same thing with finance. Same thing with finance. Spend less, earn more. I mean, right? That's how you do it. Here's how you become financially free for the rest of your life. Only spend 90% of what you earn.
Yes.
Yeah, then you'll be rich.
Yeah.
If you earn $1,000 a year and you spend 900 a year, every year you're going to create wealth.
Yes.
But if you make $1,000 a year and every year you spend 1,000, 1,100, which is what most of our society does. So there's
Yes.
laws around consumption and different principles, and the more your money goes up, the more your bills and desires go up. And then, all of a sudden, first class isn't good enough. You need your own plane. But the 5 financial freedom factors is really earnings, savings, investments, passive inc passive income streams, and budget, spend less.
Yes.
And we could spend a lifetime chasing that dream. So
Yes.
I recently got partnered up with a financial education company, and now we help protect what's most important, which is your family, your home, your money, and your business. And I work with an estate planning attorney, and he does really, really important stuff. He does wills and trusts and estate plans, and he helps people prepare for retirement. And he taught me this the other day. He said, tax planning. He's like, when you work with your CPA, they help you pay less taxes on what last year happened. He's like, we help people pay less taxes based on what's going to happen next year. I said, oh,
Yeah.
tax planning. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, and it becomes this really important thing where you start to realize it's very simple. You just have to look at these bigger opportunities and how you can earn more, but also how you can conserve a lot more. And you start to realize that not everything in this world, they made finance so complex nowadays. They made it so confusing. And that's why I try to make it as simple as possible for me and then anyone I coach and work with and talk to. Because when it is confusing, it's like, what are we talking about? I don't even know what they're saying, the options and the this and the Bitcoin. Like, there's so many different things. And it's like, how do you simplify this?
Yeah.
So, how did you go about simplifying it? And then how do you help people simplify it?
Well, the way I go about simplifying it is 40 years of keeping it complicated and getting into debt and misusing credit cards and robbing Peter to pay Paul and hoping for my part-time business to overcome take my full-time job and to have a W-2 but still have balance. Like it's not easy, and it's harder in 2025 than it was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And the dichotomy of different options and opportunities that are available right now, it's really the basics. And I tried to in the book make it so basic.
Yeah.
Let, let's get out of debt. Let's save and invest. Let's properly do our taxes. And I'm the expert at all of that. I'm a student in all of that. I don't give my CPA a shoebox of receipts, but I did send him, a couple pages of PDF copies of, credit card statements. So like I'm improving, but
But
now,
even that's a drastic increase because people don't realize that when you do write-offs, like you can literally have a specific credit card just for business and that's like your assistant. That's your receipts. And
yeah,
there's a lot of tips and tricks in there that can help you along the way because we sit here so often and we try to go, I don't know that. That's not me. And like the truth is, if you're in the world and you're alive, like you're in the system. You're
yeah,
in the financial system and you have to learn this stuff. That's why it's so important. And that's why I wanted Drew to come on and share some of this stuff, is because it is a big deal. It does help people.
yeah, yeah. And the country's broke. Um, People are living paycheck to paycheck. I've been obsessed with passive income for 30 years
Yeah.
because I mean, it started when I was broke. I had a job, and I remember when Facebook, just started launching. I started doing Facebook Lives, and I remember like we went to like a weekend away, right? No big deal. Went a weekend away, had a little family. All right, that's not so attractive to the masses. But what I realized was Sunday night, she said, "Do we have to go home?" I said, "No. Can we stay here Monday?" Yes. And I remember doing a Facebook Live like 15 years ago, or whenever Facebook started, like 2010 or 15, whatever, 10 years ago. I was like, what does financial freedom look like? I mean, I'm here with my wife and kids, and it's Monday, and we decided not to go home and back to work. And yes, maybe I'm working a little bit on the phone, or, I have a laptop lifestyle. So for me, it's a combination: lifestyle, sales, marketing, family, balance, goals. How do we put it all together? And that's why, I'm a peak performance coach, first and foremost. People pay a lot of money to work with people like me and Jordan because, and I have a coach who's expensive because I can't even believe people get by without having a coach these days. Like
Yeah.
it blows my mind that people could even survive in this business without having a coach these days, because
Yeah.
there's so many moving parts to life and business. And a coach can look at your life. And I realized this when I was building a network marketing company. In network marketing, you build teams and you give them your all and you love them and you coach them and you give them. But then I started doing trainings online and people in my downline started hiring me. I was like, oh, this is weird. Why is my downline hiring me when I'm already giving them everything I got? Because when you pay attention.
Yes. And I think that's such an important note because we can look at our lives and we could think a thousand different things, right? We could think we're doing everything correctly, but from our point of view, it's very hard to see over ourselves. It's very hard to see other perspectives, and it's very hard to know what you're accountable to. That's why in my group coaching, I literally have action step and accountability, and then they do the action step one week, next week we do accountability. And when people miss their accountabilities, they're like, oh man, I can't keep letting this slip. I got to take action on this because you're absolutely right, Drew. We need to know what we're working towards, and we need to know that we're being held accountable to those goals and those missions.
Yeah. I just sat through a training webinar. It was so brilliant. It was, what does it take to win in business and to quantum leap? accountability, structure, focus, goals, publicly announcing your goals. He taught this. I'm going to implement this, dude. Like with my teams, clients, partners, business partners, everything. Like this is the hour we're working. First 5 minutes, breathe, zen, get present. Let's get rid of all distractions. Are you using your phone? No. Okay, put your phone over there. Okay, is this social media? Are we calling? Are we emailing? Are we creating a template? Are we building a landing page? What are we doing this hour right now focused? Boom. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I've been teaching this concept for a long time, but maybe it's time to really time block and really
Yeah.
like the challenge is it's ping, ding, email, social media. Oh, someone liked my Facebook. Oh, and then next thing you know, you're watching Facebook cat videos.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the biggest thing that's helped me, and I was literally talking about this with my coaching group today, was we were even talking about batching emails, like where you can batch them on your phone where they come in at different hours of the day so that you're not getting inundated so much because you are right. That ability to focus and be super present on whatever that action activity you need to do is, it makes a massive difference. And I really enjoyed how you talked about structure. So, what are some structures that people can implement in their lives to have this financial freedom that we're all looking for? Like, what are some things that we can do? Yeah,
Yeah, so multiple topics here, right? We can talk about, so the name of my first book was You Can Have It All, The Ultimate Guide to Having Fun, Making Money, and Living a Good Life. So
yeah,
that talked more about business building principles, recruiting, structuring your day, your calendar, mentorship, focus, not multitasking. Multitasking is it's going to kill society, especially with the algorithms and the phones. And I mean, the phones, they're designed to keep you addicted, right? They're designed
or
to keep you in there. But this new book, Go All In, this is your blueprint for wealth, legacy, and financial freedom. So this book kind of teaches you how to build a business. This
yes,
book kind of teaches you how to get really laser focused on your finances. Because for me, it was time to go all in. For me, it
yes,
was time to like, all right, I might as well, I'm 52. I'm not trying to win the money game. I'm like,
yeah,
what do I need to do? And I've heard this concept for years. Don't write the book for them, write the book for me. I'm like, okay,
yes,
I'm gonna write. Then this is what Tony Robbins did. Tony Robbins was like in a devastation situation, and he ended up writing 5 pages of what he needed to do, and that's what created Date of Destiny. Like so I wrote this book so that I can have proper principles. So I
yeah,
wrote this book so that I can learn. And guess what
yes,
I asked? I asked the smartest, most successful, most talented financial wizard in the world, and she helped me for free.
wow,
And her name is Miss Yoda. And she calls me Jedi Master. And she is my Chat GBT slave. No, she's my Chat GBT servant. No, no, no. She's my Chat GBT gem. I
yeah,
love her. I cherish her. I treat
yeah,
her well. Before every project, I say, "Hi, Miss Yoda. How are you?" She says,
yeah,
I am great, Jedi Master. What amazing task are we taking on today to tackle the universe?" I say, "Well, we want to win the financial game. Can you help me write a book?" She said, "Yes." So, Jordan, this came out a couple of weeks ago on Amazon. And the other day I was sitting at my desk and I randomly opened to page 93.
yeah,
Crafting your financial blueprint, chapter 5. Introducing your roadmap to financial independence. Failure to plan is planning to fail. Benjamin Franklin. And I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my God, this is really good. And
yes,
on the opposite page, I have a QR code because each chapter has a video training where people can get intimate with me, and we have group and we have sessions and accountability. And I'm like, I forgot. So I'm rereading the book
yeah,
because I need to up my financial game. And
yes,
I named the book Go All In because how many of us are dabbling? And I've been dabbling.
yes,
And I know millionaires who dabble. But Michael Jordan didn't dabble.
yes,
Abraham Lincoln didn't dabble.
Yes.
Albert Einstein didn't dabble. Why have I been dabbling? Oh, yeah, there's more greatness in me. So I wrote
Yes.
a book to train me, but that's the same thing in business. Because if you do what you do and then you live it and you teach others, you'll attract more people and you'll have less rejection. The only
I
people that buy this book are people that want the information and want to work with me.
yes.
Guess what the whole book is about? Getting the information and working with me.
Yes.
That's what a lot of the calls to action in the book are.
Yeah.
On my calendar, let's connect on social media. How can I help you?
Yes.
I'll have less rejection.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because I do think there is a power in teaching. When you do learn and then you reapply that knowledge and you're learning it, then it helps you so much more. Because there's so many times where we sit there and we're just in a feared state, like many people are. And what are those top three feared states that you mentioned that we talked about before? It's paying less taxes. It's the fear of not having enough money when you retire. It's outliving your money. So how do you think people can remove these fears
Uh,
before it gets too late? How can people think about that?
you are an exceptional podcast host. The fact that you remembered that, that is the holy grail right there. Because I think those three things every human on earth has in common.
Yes.
You're just getting started in business or you're a multi-gazillionaire. You want to pay less taxes.
Yes.
You love your country. You want good streets. You want the stoplights to work. You want the teachers and cops to get paid. You want there to be hospitals. But the truth is, you want to pay the government less money in taxes.
Yeah.
Two, at some point, you're going to want to retire. It doesn't mean sit on the beach and do nothing, retire. It means do the projects you love, maybe continue in the business that you're in, but you want to have the financial opportunity to retire. You want to have the financial option to not have to work anymore.
Yes.
The third thing is with modern technology, gosh, you're in your 30s, dude. You might live to 120 years old. It's
Yes.
actually possible. And you might die tomorrow. So, what does that mean for humans? That means there's what if and I better plan.
Yes.
So, what we help people with when we sit down and do a complimentary financial needs analysis, we go over those three things. What are you doing? So, my partner, who's an estate planning attorney, had a client yesterday, gazillionaire, no tax strategies. He's going to save him $300,000 in taxes just by creating different tax strategies that are legal.
Yes.
Two, what if we can create a retirement plan that protects you if you live too long and if you die too soon?
Yes.
And third, based on your parents and your grandparents, how old do you think how long do you think you'll last,
Yeah.
Gordon?
I,
Okay. If you were
I
to
mean,
guess, you're 30. If you were to guess based on your parents and your grandparents, how long do you think you'll be blessed with an earthly presence? About.
I would think with everything going on and how long, like my grandma right now, she's 94, I believe. And I think, yeah, I mean, over 100, I would hope, like with all the tech coming in and everything coming in, and how do you live that optimal life? Like you want to live that into that age.
Right?
You want to be
So that's
sitting
what
there.
I help people with.
Yeah.
That's what I help people with. So my whole life changed when I met the estate planning attorney because I'm an expert at sales, marketing, recruiting, team building, social media. I'm good at all those things. I'm good at writing books.
Yeah.
I'm good at peak performance. I wasn't good at law, tax, and finance.
Yeah.
When I got hired by an estate planning attorney, I had to go through quite a learning curve. But what happened changed my life. He introduced me to a network of lawyers, accountants, and financial planners, and I would start coaching them on stuff that I was really good at.
Yeah.
Marketing, team building, revenue, that type of thing. And I'm talking to lawyers and financial planners, and they were looking at me like I had three heads. I'm like, what do you mean you
Yeah.
don't follow up? They're like, yeah, they come to my office. If they want to buy an estate plan, they buy it. I'm like, well, do you send them a thank you note? Do you follow up? Do you call them? Do you check in on them? They're like, no. I'm like, why? They're like, well, if they wanted to buy an estate plan, they would have bought an estate plan. I'm like, don't you know that you have to like help them want to buy it? They're like, no. So they started paying me $5,000 and $10,000 a month, not a month, $5,000 to $10,000 to coach them. And then he introduced me to the fastest growing financial education company in North America. And I started coaching these people, and I'm like, Glenn, I can really help these people. He's like, yeah, I know. That's why I hired you. I'm like, no. Like, I could really help them. They're trying to sell, they're trying to recruit, they're trying to team build, and they're trying to deal with financial services. They don't know, a lot of them don't know what they're doing. So I ended up getting licensed. I'm now a licensed financial professional. And now we work with the with people and families and really help them protect what's most important to them.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Yeah, and what do you think a lot of these people that you're seeing are struggling with? Because that it sounds like to me is that people have their skill set and they focus on that. So like if it's really good at revenue generation, they focus on that. If it's really good at doing the activity, they're really good at that. But not a lot of people are looking at the back burner, which is the financials. Not a lot of people are checking, hey, am I growing? Hey, is these accounts working? Are these investments correct? Are these things the right area where we need to be? Because there's so many of us, like we talked about, there's a million things that can go on in any one day. It's how
Yeah,
do you focus on it and how do you set a plan that actually works?
yeah, yeah. So I ended up getting licensed in the financial sector. I had no idea that the financial sector is the highest paid finance industry in the world. My best friend, a lawyer, I know him 25 years. He's like, Drew, you're the best salesperson, team builder, recruiter I've ever met. He's like, are you taking that skill into the financial sector? Finally, he's like, and you've got an estate planning attorney in your back pocket? He's like, don't walk, run, don't run, sprint.
Yeah.
And I started posting on social, I'm dabbling here. And I recruited like 16 agents out of nowhere. People wanted to work with me because I have a decent reputation in the marketplace and the financial sector is so important. So I combined, now what we're doing is we're combining sales, marketing, team building, recruiting, money, tax, finance, law, insurance. I'm licensed in 13 states. I have a family right now, Orthodox Jewish family. Um, they're getting 9 policies. I'm writing 9 policies for the couple and the 7 kids. 7 kids. And I'm going to make sure they're all protected. They all have long-term growth. They all get tax benefits. There's some new things in the insurance world that are very sexy to people. There's something called, you might have heard the joke life insurance, death insurance. I ask people if they have life insurance. They say, well, yeah. I'm like, do you have the kind that you need to die to collect, or do you have a modern kind? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, in the last 20 years, there's something called term with living benefits, where if you got disabled or sick, or you couldn't work or function, your family would still get their mortgage paid. We have a guy, he qualified for the best insurance. He was paying $70 or $80 a month, no big deal. 3 months into it, he's got $300, diagnosed with cancer. Boom. Life.
Wow.
And the insurance company gave him $250,000. He beat the cancer.
Whoa.
He beat the cancer. He lived, but he needed that money to live, pay bills, to have someone take care of his daughter, to pay for stuff. What a blessing. And I didn't know this was an honorable profession. I thought insurance was the lowest thing on the totem pole. I thought it
Yeah.
was used car salesman was here, life insurance was here. Till the estate planning attorney I work with showed me a picture that he had commissioned by an artist. A woman on the porch, sad. 3-year-old or 5-year-old or baby on her shoulder crying. Little girl, 3 or 5 years old, hugging her leg, sad. Dog sad on the porch. The day the dad dies. The knight in shining armor, leaning, bent at the knee, with $1 million policy. And I'm like, oh my God. It hit me like it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, "You're my best friend. If I come to your funeral, I'd rather bring your wife a $500,000 policy than a bouquet of flowers." And I'm like, oh my God, like, oh. So now I'm deep in the world of finance, insurance, law, tax. But what I really do best is people. So now
Yeah.
all I have to do is connect people. Someone said this today on a training call, like this is real life, right? This is life happening. Make a friend, find a need. Know
Yeah.
what you know what you don't know, and know who you know that knows what you don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
like, resourcefulness.
Yes.
So that's why when I sit with people, I'm like, listen, whatever you got going on, we work together. Let's make 7 figures in the next 36 months. Let's help a lot of people. Let's use AI. Let's use our heart. Let's be smart with our money. You have a doctor. You need a financial expert on your team. Let's go.
Yeah. No, that sounds incredible. That sounds awesome. So, Drew, where can people learn about Go All In and where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. So, Jordan, you've been a gem. I want to impact as many people who are listening as possible. So go to Amazon. You've heard of that. It's a small little website. They have lots of books. And if you type my name, Drew Berman, Go All In Amazon, it'll show up. If you buy the book, listen, it's $15. I don't even know if I make, I don't know what, $3. I have no idea. If you buy the book and you send me a screenshot that you bought the book, because we want to sell the books, of course, and mention Jordan Edwards. Mention that you heard Drew on the Edwards Consulting podcast, and we'll book a 25-minute complimentary financial and retirement review. We'll go through your numbers. You'll have a plan. We'll do it for complimentary. And if you go to drewberman.com, there's actually a plan on there for retirement planning. It's totally free. And we'll meet 25 minutes. We'll share some concepts in the book. If you mention the Edwards Consulting, then you'll know we can talk about sales or marketing or recruiting or team building or finance or tax or law. But I start most of my calls with, how can I make your day more wonderful?
Yeah.
And I promise to add some value. I promise to give you some tools, maybe some referrals, and unlock some things that have been shown to me that I've paid tens of thousands of dollars for and spent 10 years or more learning.
Yeah. That's awesome. I really appreciate that, Drew. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate everybody. I'm Drew Berman at drewberman.com. Let's go all in. Shout out to you, Jordan. Edwards Consulting, rockstar interview.